appropriate for kids, and both of you looked forward to watching together every week.
Well, now there is.
It's called the Wingfeather Saga, a best-selling fantasy book series
That 8,000 families made into a record-breaking animated series. And now we need your help to fund season 2 and beyond.
The Wingfeather Saga is epic like Lord of the Rings, witty like The Princess Bride, and full of truth like the Chronicles of Narnia.
And thanks to funding from people like you, we were able to hire a team of over 70 incredible artists with experience at studios like DreamWorks, Pixar, Valve, and others to join executive producer J. Chris Wall.
Hey, who worked on the global hit VeggieTales for over a decade and was a producer at DreamWorks Animation. Andrew Peterson is the other executive producer. He wrote the book, so we were like, I guess you can be involved.
Thanks for inviting me. Not only did I write the books, but I've been involved in the show's writing and in the animation process just to make sure that the magic that is in the books makes its way onto your family's screens. Oh, I think I lost somebody there.
So if you want to help create a TV series that shows families are stronger together rather than apart, invest in the Wingfeather Saga today.
And yeah, I changed my accent. Get over it. Investing in the Wingfeather Saga means you'll be getting in incredibly early on what could be the next smash hit fantasy series. Imagine investing in Harry Potter before the movies came out. And the toys and the costumes and the video games, the theme parks, and oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. We hope Wingfeather goes global, and if it does, there may never be another chance to invest again. Season 2 is where the world of Wingfeather really takes off. Plus, the books have over 15,000 reviews, with an average of 4.8 stars.
Here are just some of the thousands of 5-star reviews of the Wingfeather Saga.
Book 2 really grabbed me into wanting to read more. Andrew Peterson has mastered the combination of humor, suspense, and depth of meaning. Each book kept getting better until its powerful conclusion. That's why we want to bring you season 2 as quickly as possible.
Now, this isn't some amateur Kickstarter by a bunch of hipsters.
We've partnered with Angel Studios, who has helped filmmakers crowdfund over $30 million. And investing in Wingfeather through the Angel funding platform is unique.
Because audiences become owners of the show and share in the profits.
So if you want an epic TV series without disrobed damsels and dismembered dudes, invest in the Wingfeather Saga today. As with any investment, you should only invest as much as you're willing to lose. The phrase family friendly usually means content that is friendly for kids and stupid for adults. But not anymore.
There once was a show of fantasy, an epic show for the family, a TV series kids enjoy that won't drive parents insane. Invest now in Wingfeather, your family will thank you forever. And the show's really clever, you can watch the short film now. Now click on the link and help us to create Wingfeather Season 2. We just can't make it without you, so let's get started now. Na 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 da 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 da.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. I'm Chris.
What's up? I'm Andrew.
Always point the wrong way. You're on this side. That way. There it is. Hi.
Yeah.
So we are the two executive producers of the Wingfeather Saga animated series. Let's see. Do you want a high five?
Yeah, let's try it.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
my
amazing.
hand. Hey man, good to see you.
Hey, dude.
You were
Good to
still
see you
over
too.
in the United Kingdom. Is that correct?
We are overseas still, working, resting, trying to get some writing done, that kind of thing. Yep.
It's awesome. You haven't picked
good.
up an accent just yet. So maybe a few more
Oh,
weeks.
I could turn it on if I chose. It's quite possible that I could, by the end of the next 2 weeks, begin to talk like this.
All the time.
Yeah, if people at home want to learn how to do like the British guy, all they just got to do is end every sentence with.
Well, hey guys, thanks for joining this afternoon. We have a lot of really fun stuff. We have some news about season 2, episode 2 rather of season 1. And we have some news about upcoming merch. And then we have a whole bunch of fan questions that you've submitted that have been delightful. And we're going to get to those, as many of them as we can today. But Andrew, we had a big milestone this last week. So 12 days in, we crossed $1 million in support of season 2 and the series as a whole, which is just fantastic. Great job, everybody.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
So this is just this amazing thing that Andrew and I, for many years, shopped around all over the place at all the places you would know of Netflix and Apples and Paramounts and everybody in between, and said, hey, do you want to help us make Wingfeather Saga? And they said, yeah, no, we're not into it. And we were like so disappointed. Like, we think it's really going to be great, but okay. And then we turned to you guys, to our fans, to the crowd, and you have broken records and continue to show up and say, we want this to be made. And the coolest thing is, with all the stuff happening, Andrew, with all this like consolidation, right? That Disney owns everything, basically, 20th Century Fox and all the pulling together, that this is a place where fans get to say, I know they didn't want to make it, but we do, and have enabled us to have this opportunity. And so at the end of our time today, we have a video we want to share that we gave you a sneak peek of it a couple weeks ago, but just the impact that's been made. And we really would love to be able to have so many people supporting us across a wide, I think at the beginning we talked about, wouldn't it be cool to have 10, 15,000 people like giving small amounts, right? And buying shares in the company, because they're buying shares in the whole series. I've had a lot of questions about that. If you go buy shares, if you go to angel.com/wingfeather, you're buying a share in our company. It's like buying a brick in the company. And you get to be a part of the story with us, which is the coolest thing. And if this is successful and the show works, you get to participate in its success, which is the coolest. So it's both an angel thing to go make it exist, like I want it to exist because it's a good show and a good story, but also, hey, if it works, I get to be a part of that, which is amazing that we get to invite people into that. That's normally not the case. Normally that's restricted to studios, right? It's restricted to large financiers that get to have that opportunity. And this is for everybody. So if you have supported us, thank you so much. If you support us at any time, you're a part of the whole series. That's awesome. If you want to continue with us as we keep working on season 2, essentially right now we're trying to raise 1.5 million. You've probably seen a graphic of that. And that's going to get us our pre-production on season 2 and get us moving. And so we're very close to that number. Essentially, we're going to close this on August 31st. We got 14 days left, just inside 2 weeks. And it's going to close this round. And we'll see if we need to go back out or not. This is really to help accelerate to get season 2 out to you within a year. If we wait for the show to get supported through other revenue, it could take us a long time, and we don't want to do that. So thank you for everybody who jumped in. If you think you know somebody that might be interested, it's very likely they don't know about this at all. What we're learning about, everybody knows, but social media and just how we get information out. You think you've told everybody, and then you haven't told anybody. And so if you think there's somebody that you're like, oh man, they would love this show and love to support it and be involved, just send them over to Wingfeather. And you can, call them, text them, email, whatever that message is for you. But we'd love to invite more people into this before we finish out here in 2 weeks. So August 31st is when we close this round. And then it's just putting everybody to work as much as we can with what we have available to us. So it's super simple. The more we have available to us, the more we can put to work and get season 2 here faster. So yeah, so that's what we're up to. But background, Andrew, season 1 is coming. We announced 2 weeks ago the release date of episode 1, which is December 2nd. And that was super exciting for everybody. It's a real thing. Lily and the Dragon Song. There it is. Yeah, awesome. So today, Andrew, seems like it'd be a good day to tell them about episode 2 and when that's coming. Should we do that? What do you think?
When is it coming, Chris? When is it coming?
Well, let's see. I think we have a graphic.
Oh,
yes!
December 16th. A
December
mysterious
16th.
Map.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mysterious map. Love that.
Yeah.
So that means if you're looking at the calendar, that means it's 2 weeks between. So people have been asking about how quickly they'll see the show. We're not putting it all at once. We are going to stretch it out. Part of that's because we're still in production in season 1. So it's going to be when we finish those episodes. And the other is because we want to stretch out that experience and let you guys watch an episode, talk about it. We're going to do some cool stuff in between those weeks. And then we'll take a little break for Christmas for sure. And we'll announce when episode 3 coming very soon. But there it is. Episode 1, episode 2, chapter 1, chapter 2, Andrew, in our vernacular.
That's
The other thing I want to tell you about is we have some other cool merch coming out. So as you know, we have some T-shirts that are out in the world, and they are super fun. And you guys just continue to support us. That's another way of supporting the show. So when you buy a T-shirt, you're supporting our show. That's how it works, because the show is going to be out there for free. We want as many people to see it as possible. And so the way that you can support us is through buying shirts and some other cool stuff. Andrew and I got a sneak peek of it. And hopefully before the end of the month, we get to announce when that stuff's coming. But there's more good stuff coming. They've seen Andrew, I think, because I have one in mind, I think I've used it, but the hoodie that we have. So we definitely want to do a hoodie. That's going to come. But soon enough. So you can go to wingfeathersaga.com/store is where our store is if you want to support. And the books are there and some cool stuff that way. So there you go. Cool. Well, Andrew, we've had a lot of questions submitted. People have questions. Lots of questions.
I love questions.
So we're going to invite our fans in. And I'm here in the room, and I'm going to invite some fans in right now, actually. Which is basically the Wall family, are going to slide in here because they're interested in hearing the answer to these questions too. What's
up, Wall family?
Look, guys, it's Mr. AP.
Hey, everybody.
Haven't seen him in a while.
Hey,
all right,
guys.
so just by way of introduction, in case people don't know, so this is Charlotte here. Charlotte originally played Lily in the short film a long time ago, and then over on the corner there's Elijah, who played Tink. And that's fun stuff. But they want to hear some of these questions too, Andrew. So we're gonna get after it. All right. So we do not know the order of these. So Ryan, and I was going to say right away, thank you so much to Emily, to Grace, and to Ryan on our team for helping to put this all together. Are you ready for this, Andrew?
I am so excited about this.
Let's get our first question. Ryan, what you got for us?
I'm Christopher.
I'm Clara. I'm Kip.
And we love the Wingfeather Saga. Andrew Peterson, I was wondering, what's your favorite character to see animated?
And I was wondering, are you going to make a Wingfeather Saga cookbook? And I was wondering, are there going to be any new characters that were in the book that are going to be in the show?
Oh my goodness. Those
Great.
are good questions. My goodness, that is good. Man, I feel like just seeing that video makes me wish that I had pajamas like I did when I was a kid. So the first question was, what was the first? Oh, which was my favorite character to see animated? I think right now it's Tink. Whoever's animating Tink is just killing it, and he has such a spark. I love his little snaggletooth. I don't know if you guys have noticed that in the animation, but like the way they are conveying who he is on the inside has been really fun. So Kalmar/Tink has been my favorite so far. I also love Poto because there's something so fun about how ridiculously huge he is, and watching the skill with which the animators got his walk to look heavy. You know what I'm talking about? Figuring out how the mechanics work with, like, how does a giant pirate walk with a peg leg, and they just killed it. So I'm always fascinated by that when we're watching the clips. The second question about the cookbook.
Sorry, I'll chime in with mine. So my favorite is Slarb. It was one of the things in the short film. They're weird, the lizards. You wanted to move in a cool way. And I was talking to Tom Owens, our friend who directed the short, and he was like, how's it working with the lizards? Because he knew it was really hard. And the fangs are just so cool, but Slarb in particular, he just moves so cool and menacing. And I know a couple of our animators that are really into the fangs and made them awesome. So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, good. That's great. So the second question was about a cookbook. That's a great question. We have had a surprising amount of requests for that. Mm-hmm. And it's a great idea. And just know that we talked about it seriously. Yeah. Just so you guys know,
I don't know that Maggot Loaf should be on the list.
It should totally be on the list. Absolutely be on the list. And Booger Gruel, that's another one. There is a
I did see there was a pitch for a snot wax candle, like an actual candle of snot wax.
Oh, I think there should be one. Yes, but on the Wingfeather website, I'm pretty sure you can dig around and find the recipe for cheddar for cheesy chowder, which was my mom's recipe for our favorite soup at home, which was cheddar chowder. And we have blueberry gooey balls. I'm sure. So we have a few recipes floating around, but it would be really fun to compile them all into a cookbook, especially if it's got maggot loaf and booger gruel in it. I'm a big fan of that.
All right, third question: is there any new characters?
Oh yeah, that is it. I'm trying to remember. If there are new characters, I don't think there are any.
I mean, there are new fangs for sure, because you had kind of the key ones, and we've added some supporting fangs that weren't in there by name.
Yeah, I do know. One of the fun things is when we're working on the scripts, like you can't just say Fang 1, Fang 2 when they've got lines. Eventually, they've got to have names. So Doug and the other screenwriters have named them. And yet, a couple days ago, we were looking at concept art for the Trolls in season 2, and they named 2 of the Trolls. And I can't remember what the names were. Perfect troll names. So yeah, and we've I think more than anything, we've expanded the presence of some small characters in Glipwood, like Ferenia. Sarah Coppola having more of a role in season 1 than she did in book 1. But I'm not saying that it wouldn't happen, but so far I don't think we have any full-on.
Yeah, I mean, there's some small supporting people that have shown up that are townspeople, right? That Shaggy.
Oh, there's the menagerie master.
There's people that So there's some folks like that you'll get to meet.
Yeah.
But
great
it's
questions.
Mostly people. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Great questions, even better genius.
Okay, a very important question. Will the thwaps sound like guinea pigs? Pigs. Rodents. Mainly guinea pigs. That's the main thing I'm concerned about.
Okay, so yes.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So we've actually, I guess we could talk about this, but we've spent a lot of time with our sound designer, Adam, in working on creature sounds. We've started many, many months ago working on exactly, what do the thwaps sound like? And as I recall, Andrew, I think guinea pigs did make it into the mixture of sounds. I think what we're doing a lot of these characters is a mix of sounds. So you're going to hear, maybe some crocodile in the fangs. You're going to hear, he was using some pheasants, I think, maybe mixed in with some other. So that just a lot of creatures to make the sounds for each one.
But all kidding aside, there are some snorty pig sounds in the thwaps, like in the scene where they invade Buzzard Willie's garden. I was noticing just yesterday that, he's totally lifting some pig sounds, which it's pig-ish, but it's not a straight pig. Anyway, I don't really know what a guinea pig sounds like. What does a guinea pig sound like? I don't know.
Evidently, you haven't had guinea pigs.
The
people that have Brian Roberts, who was big on guinea pigs, and I don't know if they still have them, but a lot of snuggling. Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
All right, what's our next question?
Hi, I'm Karis. Can I see what the inside of the A-B Cottage will look like? Please.
Oh, the A-B Cottage.
Oh, that's a great question. Do you have a way of pulling that up, Chris?
So we do, and it's very similar to what it was when we got to first create it for the short film. Some changes a little bit here and there, but here's a good look. Yeah. So there's Nia's room is squared off, and Poto's, has a little porthole on it, and there's a desk and a really interesting staircase, very European. Lily has her own bed upstairs, and Kalmar and Jenner, of course, share bunk beds. And we've added a back door. That's one tweak here. So we moved some furniture around and added a back door. And there's a couch in the room, and so there's the inside. Here we're coming around to the kitchen. So here is where all the good things, the source of all things yummy. So there's your Igby Cottage. Oh, and there's the nugget door. In case people haven't noticed this before, I think we actually get to use it. I don't remember which episode, but Andrew, I know that there's an episode that I said, hey, make sure a nugget goes through the nugget door.
So great.
That's awesome. Thanks for that question. Beautiful. All right, next question.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Peterson. My name is Jim, and I really enjoyed your books. And I want to know, why was there not a lion in your book? Because lions are really good in books about faith. And are you afraid to have lions in your book? And why are you afraid to have lions in your book? That is all.
Oh man!
Oh, Randall Good Game, everybody. That is my friend Randall Good Game. At a friend's house here, they happen to be really big fans of Slugs and Bugs, and right here on their desk, they have Sing the Bible, Slugs and Bugs. I can't figure out how to. Oh, there we go. So I've been thinking about Randall this whole time. For those of you guys at home who don't know Randall, you just got a taste of the genius of that man. He is, yes, it is Randall Good Game. He is the genius behind Slugs and Bugs and the Slugs and Bugs Sing the Bible CDs. He is just the best. And there's a show that he made with Chris. And as far as I remember, he also did not have any lions in his show, right? Were there any lions in the show, Chris?
Not yet. Yeah. No.
So, hey, I'm just saying, Law Guy, before you criticize us for not having a lion, Randall, I can pose the same question to you. Anyway, I'm delighted by that. I haven't seen him in a few weeks, so I'm very happy to have seen whatever that was.
Well, you got through his disguise pretty fast, Andrew. I mean, whew.
Yeah, I'm pretty sneaky like that. But yeah, no lions.
Yeah, though we love lions, we're not against lions, but our world definitely has other things. Why does he want lions?
Why does he want lions? He's being absurd. And there's another book series that has a lion in it. I think that's what he's joking about.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Yes. What's the next question?
Hello, Mr. Peterson and Mr. Wall. My name is Micah, and me and my cat Lily have a few questions. So, first question: how are you guys going to handle apparel? How do you keep it family friendly with violence in the first book? So there's 4 books to the Wingfeather Saga, and you guys are going to be having 7 seasons. Is it going to be the first season is the first book only, or the first season is the first book and a little bit of the second book? Thank you so much.
That's a great question.
Good question. Very good question.
Yeah.
You want to
this has been a tough one, Andrew. I know you and I have been talking about it quite a bit, but the books are not safe, right? There's violence, there's peril, there's real loss, right? So it's interesting when you read it and what your imagination is when you read it, as you guys know, versus when you see it, right? And so we've been talking a lot about just how we manage that. I will say we're probably heading towards PG territory, maybe PG-13. I think that's kind of the question. We fall in this interesting place of fantasy violence. So because ultimately, the family's going to fight against the Fangs, and that violence is, fantasy, right? So it's a weird, little segment. But Andrew, how about for you? I know we've talked a lot about the stories and movies that you've loved. Kind of get a little scary, right? And
yeah,
I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I when I was a kid, I was actually more drawn to it if I felt like the stakes were high, and there was some real kind of thrilling sense of real danger. I do think that it was, when I wrote the books, the way that, when Fangs die, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but when Fangs die, they turn to dust pretty quickly. And there's a reason for that you'll find out later if you haven't read the books. But I think that it ended up being a kind of a helpful tool as far as having Fangs die on screen, because there's not going to be a whole lot of visceral, awful, shocking stuff to see. It's like they crumble and they turn to dust, or they turn to whatever, you know what I'm saying. And so we're going to be as tasteful as possible about it, I think. But I think there's a way to convey the peril and the fact that there will be characters who don't survive the story, and to do that in a way that won't give kids nightmares. You know, that confronts the reality of the fact that there is death in the world and that there is pain in the world, but also do it in a way that rings true and or to do it in a way that rings true and also isn't gratuitous. And I think that's the balance that we're going to take.
I agree. Yeah, yeah. And as far as the scope of the story, yes, it is. Season 1 is essentially all of book 1. So if you've read book 1, you are ready for season 1. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next question.
Hi, I'm Alethea from Williamsburg, Virginia. I was wondering what the globe of jail looks like. Could I see a picture of it?
I love these questions.
Yeah. So the inside has not been shown yet, and it's still being shaped a little bit. So just FYI. But the outside, if you've got a keen eye for it, has been shown. So it's out there. If you look carefully, here's a screenshot of one of our trailers. Over on the right, it's kind of a little soft, but you see where it says jail. Dun dun dun.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that we got. They just nailed the look of the jail. I wanted the jail to look like an old West jail, you know, where the sheriff would sit on the front stoop. And so I can't wait to see Commander Norm hanging out on the jail stoop. So yeah, good question. Yeah, I hope you never have to see the inside of a jail, Alethea. Especially
for the record. Yeah. Cool. All right, next question.
Hello, everybody. It's Grace. And Matthew Riggs wants to know, on a scale of Lord of the Rings to Voyage of the Dawn Treader, how closely will the Wingfeather Saga follow the book series?
Thanks for that question, Grace. I know she was reading for someone else. So I don't remember. So wait, was the Voyage of the Dawn Treader? Was there a movie?
Yeah, not good. Yeah, when you think about some of the Narnia adaptations, there's just like a bit of a whiff of like, didn't quite understand what that was about, right?
Yeah, I didn't. I watched the first one, and I think I watched part of the second one, and then I was kind of like, you know what? I want to preserve those books in my mind, but I didn't. I think the Lord of the Rings is probably a pretty good comparison. Like, I think that there are some real key moments in the Lord of the Rings movies that, like, when I went back and rewatched them for the first time since they'd come out, I was so pleasantly surprised at how much they got right. Like some of the real key scenes, not everything. They messed up some characters. They messed up a few things, I think. But like overall, I would give them definitely a passing grade. You know. But there are also some really fun elements that are in the movies that would never have been in the books that I just didn't mind because it's a movie. So I think that's what we're going to do. It wouldn't work if we tried to do a really rigid adaptation of the books. It needs to be a new story.
Yeah, and I think that's the way we've been going after it too, is keeping the emotional, being true to the emotional moments, right? Which I think is one of the things I love about Lord of the Rings, is that it's true to the emotional moment, even if it's staged slightly differently or with slightly different dialogue with different characters. It achieves the same kind of goal, and I'm hopeful that that's what we're accomplishing here. It's certainly what, as a fan of the books itself, it's what I'm hoping we're bringing to the screen as we're doing this. So, yeah, that's a good question. All right, let's see what else we got.
Hey, I'm Caroline. I'm from Georgia. Thank you so much for listening to my question. I love the Wingfeather Saga, and I'm super excited. I was wondering, at the end of the trailer, it says, "Discover who you truly are." I was wondering exactly what y'all meant by that, and also how y'all are going to set the stage for helping people discover who they truly are in the first season of the TV series. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh, deep question. That is a good question. You want me to take this one, Chris?
Yeah, without spoilers. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think I can do it without spoilers. If you've read the first book, and in fact the whole series, one of the big themes that emerged in the writing of the story was the idea of identity. Names play a pretty big role in the Wingfeather Saga, all across the story, and that's, in hindsight, I can see that that's a result of the season of life that I was in when I was first working on those books. I was learning a lot about who I was in Christ, and my own story of coming to discover that I was not who I thought I was. I was more than who I thought I was because I had a king and a father. And so I'm trying to be as vague as possible here, but I will say that that theme. It was funny when I saw the trailer. I saw that card come up that said "Discover who you really are," and I was like, "That's perfect." I love that. Whoever came up with that. I don't know who came up with that language because it wasn't in the early drafts of the trailer. But yeah, I was like, yes, that's one of the things that I would hope happens is that the watching this story, reading these books would wake up some curiosity in someone who didn't know who they truly were, and that when they finally discovered it, they would realize that this is one of the seeds that was planted that got them there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I think that I felt that reading the books, the sense of like suspicion that there's more to who you are than what you maybe have in front of you. And I think to answer her question, I would say what I loved about the story is there's this wrestling with kind of what is a given name and identity that we believe by our Creator, that we find deep joy and satisfaction when we're in that space, right? But then we have a world and a culture and sometimes family around us that try to push us into something else, right? It's a bit of David being given some armor in the Bible, right? Like it's to try to push us towards something that we're maybe not supposed to be, or maybe the pressures of our friends or school tell us other identities that we might try on, and they're ill-fitting and it doesn't work, right? We feel this like, this isn't working out for me. And I think we're in a season of our culture here in America, particularly, where we're all trying to figure out our identities. And I think that perhaps there's an answer that's deeper than that of a given identity by our Creator that if we can get to is really rich and meaningful. So hopefully in the series, we get to demonstrate some of that wrestling and, kind of pushing away of identity and accepting identity. And, again, try not to avoid some of the spoilers. But.
That's a good answer. One quick quote that I've used 1,000 times, but I think it kind of gets to it as far as what we're doing with the story, how I believe stories work. The quote, and I don't know who said it, but somebody said, if you want someone to know the truth, tell them. If you want someone to love the truth, tell them a story. I think that's just a great way to put it. That stories have a way of surprising even the writer of the story. Or the makers of the show, or the people who are writing, going expecting just entertainment. It is entertaining and it is just a story, but I really believe that nothing is really just a story. The stories kind of set the table for you to be surprised, and so that discover who you truly are is like the perfect little subtle, poetic way of getting at, hey, there's something more going on here.
That's awesome. Yeah, great question. All right, what else we got? What's another question here?
I wonder what the Hounds color is going to be. Maybe bright brown?
That is a great question. Yeah.
Yeah. What do those horned hounds look like, Andrew?
I'm pretty sure they're bright brown is a good description of the color of them. Do we have any? Are we holding out on the concept
released
art?
those. Yeah, we haven't shown them what the horned hounds actually look like yet, but there is some gray involved. I know when we were working on them, we wanted them to feel a bit weathered, right? A bit like kind of beaten up, and they're kind of tough animals. Horned hounds.
Yeah,
yeah,
but they are a brown. At least some of them are a brownish color, and I like the idea of bright brown. I'll say that. But the horned hounds are definitely pretty spooky looking in the show. I wouldn't want to meet one.
Yeah, and they play a prominent role, so you're going to get to see a lot of horned hounds. So that's cool. All right, next question.
Are the flops fuzzy in season 1?
Yes, they are fuzzy.
They are fuzzy.
I'm pretty sure all flaps are fuzzy. Yeah. Whether it's the tail-handed.
Yeah, there's a variety of flaps, right?
Yeah. We get to meet the tail-handed thwap, which to me is still one of the funniest and weirdest things. I'm pretty sure Aiden invented the tail-handed thwap. And then there's the thwapper fly. We see a thwapper fly. And then we see your typical garden variety, garden thwap.
Garden. Mm-hmm. And they're all various fuzzies. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Cool. All right. Next question.
Russell Moore here. Hey, AP and Chris. Congratulations on Wingfeather Season 1. I want to ask a quick question. Andrew, you were the one who wrote the books on which the series is based. And I'm just wondering, is the experience of writing these characters in a book as opposed to a series, a visual animated series, does your imagination work in different ways to get the characters right and the stories right in these two different media? Thanks.
Oh, my friend. I love that guy so much. Thanks for the question, Russell Moore. He has been a wonderful friend and supporter of these books and the series all along. So that's a good question. We've said this before, but I feel sometimes like my main job when it comes to the screenwriting is to tell people to cut dialogue. There's so many moments where, like in the book, you have to tell the reader everything. You know what I mean? Well, not everything. You do leave quite a bit to the imagination, but like you can explain what's going on inside the mind and heart of the main character in a way that you can't do in a visual medium. And so sometimes what that means is that there can be a tendency to try to kind of over-explain. You know, like you get really expository, and it's like, well, no, I am not picking up this phone so that I can call someone. And it's, you know, you end up describing too much and not assuming that the reader can keep up. And so for me, it's been really fun to see, man, the animators are just amazing. And to see the way that they have captured the personality of the characters in little things like their walk cycles, you know, like each animated character has, it's called a walk cycle. They just create a way, like how does Poto walk? How does Janner walk? How does Kalmar walk? And each one of their walks conveys a little bit of their personality, like who they are. And so, yes, it has been fascinating to see the screenwriters and the animators, everybody along the way kind of figuring out how do we tell the story visually without, how would we show what was going on in Janner's heart without him opening his mouth at all, you know? And so that, to me, I've heard my brother, who's a playwright, talk about how difficult it is to tell a story on the stage, you know, where you've got very bare backgrounds, there's a conversation that's happening, and somehow this conversation has to convey a whole lot. Like every single line matters, every single line is packed with meaning. So each medium has its own way of doing it. I have mainly been like a student in this process, watching this amazing team translate the books into this other form. So yeah, my main job has been just trying to make sure that like the things that the characters are saying, if they aren't lifted straight from the books, still sound like what the characters actually would have said.
Yep.
And a lot of times that means not saying anything at all.
And just acting well. And I think one of the things that's really cool is thanks to Keith and Ron, who are leading that animation team, they are making some really strong choices to give these characters. They're not just kind of puppets. Like a lot of CG, that it's TV CG, you know, animation can be pretty stiff, right? And in our case, it's been amazing to see how much they're imbuing them with character. So yeah, Great question. All right, next question. I'm so curious what's going to happen.
Hi, my name is Libby, and this is Tank. And our question is, which character did you enjoy most seeing on the screen, and why?
Yeah, what do you think, Chris?
I have most enjoyed seeing Brack. I know, it's weird, but Brack is one of the fangs that's described in the book. And then right behind him is Shaggy, who runs Shaggy's Tavern. Both those characters have just like exploded in my brain in ways I did not expect. I think the surprise of how cool they are.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like all of them so much. My first thought was Shaggy, because he's not super described in the book, you know, He has this kind of like little cameo, few scenes that he's in. But obviously, he must be called Shaggy for a reason. So when whoever did the character design just like nailed, this kind of like Shaggy dog. Remember, was it Sergeant Tibbs in the 101 Dalmatians? You know, the dog that had the big shaggy thing. It was,
Yep.
um, or the Colonel and Sergeant Tibbs, anyway. But I just, as soon as I saw him, and he leans over and he says, Podo, there's news in the world, or however he says it. And I was like, oh, I just felt like we had entered into every book that I loved reading when I was in 8th grade, where there's a tavern and there's the tavern keeper, and Barlaman Butterbur, is giving news of the wider world. I thought, oh, there it is. That's perfect.
Yep, that's great. Cool. Next question.
Hi, my name is Vance. In the first book, there's a cool treehouse, and I wonder if you could show us what it looks like or what your favorite part of it is.
Oh, Vance, that is a great question. Can we show him a picture of the treehouse?
No, we're not showing it yet. So there's 2 locations that we've kept secret, dear fans. One is the treehouse, and the second is Ankle Jelly Manor. Both are awesome. They're so cool. And we've been saving them as a surprise, because when they show up in the episodes they show up in, which is middle of the season, roughly. Anyways, they're awesome, and we want to. So we're saving them for now. But I would say, for my part, the coolest part is the way that we get up into the treehouse. So we have this cool mechanism of ropes that they can grab, and whoosh, and it kind of takes them up into it. That's my favorite part so far. How about you, Andrew?
I mean, I don't know. I would just say that I can't wait for you to see what we've come up with, because it's very cool, and you're going to love it when you see it. It's the treehouse was. I don't know. I remember there was a moment when I was working on the books, and I knew that I wanted Pete living in his quote unquote castle. I just was like, okay, if I was 12 years old and I could invent the coolest treehouse in the world, what would I want it to look like? And I drew a few sketches of it in my journal. But the point is that the fact that you're interested in this treehouse makes me think that you are going to be very happy when you see the one that we came up with, because it's great.
And the way it's introduced too, I love in the story the way the kids discover it. There's this really cool moment where it's like, oh my! I was actually just launching this morning, Andrew, the animators into that section of the episode. So,
oh, fun!
Yeah,
awesome.
So it's about to happen. All right, next question.
Hello, I'm A.S. Peterson, also known as Pete Peterson, and I'm here to let you know that Danger Noodle Dragon asks, do you plan to sell DVDs of the show? Or even a boxed set of all the seasons when the show is complete?
You guys are fantastic. Oh my God.
Oh, that is my brother, you guys. Pete Peterson. It's so funny. We were just talking about Pete the playwright, this like super dignified, and then it's like, hello, I'm Pete with his
Yep. Peterson brothers got to be
he
Peterson
is awesome.
brothers.
Yes.
We actually had a retailer reach out to us after the teaser trailer released, a major retailer that I won't say here, saying, when can we have DVDs of the series? Like people
cool.
are that excited about it. So yes, we will definitely have DVDs available, and maybe even Blu-ray. But that's still box set. Andrew, what do you think? Should we do one?
Box set of the DVDs? Well, I mean, why would you not? I'm just I'm still like, I think it's cool that people still use DVDs.
It's something about owning it. Something about having I don't use them hardly ever. But just having it, like, there it is. It's mine. Because streaming stuff.
I feel the same way.
I don't know when it's coming or going. Do I have it? Do I not? And so
yeah.
It's
kind of the equivalent of buying a vinyl of an album that you love. It's like, if the internet goes down, we can still listen to this thing.
That's right.
So that's good. I'm excited about that.
All right, next question.
Hi, I'm Charlotte, and Shima Bonnet asks, What ages will this be appropriate for in terms of more scary or frightening moments?
Thank you, Charlotte, and
Good job,
So
Charlotte.
Andrew, a couple of these folks sent in messages on text, and we're like, well, we want to do videos, and so some other folks have helped us, like your brother.
Excellent.
Great. Yeah, I think we talked about that violence level, and I think for kids, it is that PG to PG-13, somewhere in there, right? I think that depending upon the family's level of what they can take, and we'll try to tell you more about that as we get close to it. But I think it's one of the things that's been interesting as a family, as we've tried to navigate this in the streaming world, that families at home might not know this, but the rating system is not governed in the streaming area. That anybody who makes things gets to say what their rating should be. Where movies that go to theaters have the MPAA to tell them, and things that are on television have the FCC. Things on streaming do not. So some of you may at home, like ours, have been shocked by, oh, it said it was rated TV, whatever, and you watch and go, whoa, that was more than I expected, and so I think we're going to be careful about how we rate it to make sure it's safe, but there is going to be fighting, and there is going to be some characters that die. And like Andrew said a minute ago, we don't want to make that gratuitous, but it's like the books are. The books are kind of aimed at 8 to 12-year-old, right? As like that, so that under 8 is like a question. I think families need to, the PG thing of parental guidance suggested, right?
I would say too, the episodes are about 30 minutes long, so it's not a huge commitment for the parent to preview it. It'd be really easy for you to sit down and watch it and make sure. But I don't think it's going to be. Can I tell a quick anecdote? One of my favorite bad dad moments with the Lord of the Rings movies. I was like, Jamie, when can I watch the Lord of the Rings with the kids? And at the time, I think Aiden was probably 6 years old. And she was like, I don't know if he's old enough. I was like, trust me, I'll fast forward everything. I'll fast forward all the scary stuff. She was like, okay, yeah, if you promise you'll fast forward. And then of course, she's in the kitchen behind us cooking, and we were watching the movie. And once I got into it, I kept forgetting to fast forward it. Then we got to the big final scene between the big battle between Aragorn and the orc, and it ends with Aragorn like beheading the orc. It's this horrifying battle scene, and I was just like watching it and so into it, and the kid was in my lap, and Jamie goes, Andrew, and I was like, wait, what? And I fumble for the remote and I pause it, like probably as the head is falling, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm so sorry, I just got into it, and I looked over at little Aiden, and his jaw was hanging open, and he turned slowly and looked at me, and he just goes, that was awesome. He was so happy. So anyway, yeah, it wasn't. I promise we will not be anywhere near that.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. What's the next question?
Hey, Chris and Andrew. Rebecca Orion asks, did you learn anything new about the story when adapting it?
Thank you, Clay.
Thanks, Clay.
Clay's on our team. He's awesome.
What do you think, Chris?
I think, learning about kind of the intent of Pharenia, I think learning about some of the more rooted tension between Poto and Pete the Sockman, learning about how Lily fits in with her siblings, because in the early, book 1 and 2, particularly, there's not a lot going on there between them, much more later, of course. And so learning about ways in which their interactions could be interesting. When you're writing for television, you're always trying to push people in opposite directions to create tension. And so you're finding what are honest ways that you can do that. And so when we worked with the writing team, just finding those hooks that we could say, you know what, we know that this character wants this because we see it in books 2, 3, and 4. And so can we start a route here that we can start to play? So thinking about Janner and Tink's relationship and how that can develop, and what are some rooted things about how they interact together at the beginning that we can then use later as they mature. So I think that discovery process, and it's really just about, for our team, reading the books, and understanding them. And then you'd have to create some connective tissue. So there is some making up of stuff, right? Where you're pulling in like, well, we can imagine that this would be true. Kind of like, speaking of your brother, Pete, working on Hiding Place, doing that stage play, and going, well, if Corrie ten Boom and her sister were like this, we can imagine that they may have been like this, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of like The Chosen is doing a TV show on Angel. Studios that is doing that. What's a connective tissue of how the disciples might have behaved between these moments that we know are in the Bible? So it's, I think, a lot of that same stuff. I don't know, for you, anything that stood out to you as you've seen them come to life this way that's new?
Well, I would say that in the development process, it was drilling down into, like what the Fangs know and what the Fangs don't know. And at what point does Nag know this about, the Jewels of Anira? And there are a lot of things that are vague in the books just because I don't have one of those brains that can like really drill into, like, how Tolkien would like map out how many days it would take to get from the Shire to Rivendell, and the cycles of the moon, like he had all that stuff figured out. That is not how my brain works. I tried to build the world as well as I could, but there are a lot of the mechanics of how the world works, how the villains work, that we had to like sit down and go, okay, well, we have to make sure that these episodes hang together logically. That each person has to know the right thing at the right time in order for it to make sense for them to react this way or that way. And so there was a lot in that. There was a kind of discovery for me. I was kind of like, oh, interesting. Yes, that's why this had to be like this. I remember Laura Hiddle, who's like Madam Seidler on the website. She's this tremendous help. I think she knows the Saga better than anybody, including me. And we had to keep asking her questions about the lore and the years that things happened, because as you're building a world, we had to nail down things that you don't have to nail down when you're writing a book.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, for fans at home, one of the things you're going to see in season 1 is really working out, and this actually does in season 2 as well. What does Nia, their mother, know? And we had to really think through what she knows and doesn't know, and then of course what Nag the Nameless knows and the Fangs know. That becomes really crucial. You'll see very quickly. As we've been working now on season 2 and finding out, like, have we laid the tracks the way we want them to, so that it builds to the right things? Because you can definitely have unfortunate events of crossing knowledge. So. Cool. Let's get got one more question here. What do we got?
Hey guys, I'm Jonathan Kellerman. I'm a big fan of Wingfeather Saga, and I'm also really interested in animation and how it's made. So I've got 3 questions for you guys. So number 1, what kind of software are you guys using for this project? Stuff like modeling, sculpting, rigging, animating, rendering, editing, compositing, stuff like that. Question number 2, after the release of Season 1, will you guys be releasing any sort of animation shot progressions or VFX breakdowns that we will be able to see on your channel? If you've seen any of ILM or Weta Digital's VFX breakdowns, that's kind of what I'm talking about. So question number 3, if I was going to study something in college that would prepare me for the kind of work that is being done on Wingfeather Saga, what would you guys recommend?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, man.
Oh, those are 3 good ones. Okay, so right off, we use Maya for animation, and we are pulling all of our show together into Unreal Engine. So Unreal Engine is where the show is being built. It's amazing, and there's so many cool things there. But we're animating with tools in Maya because that's what most animators are familiar with. We had talked about animating differently, but that we stuck there. Second question. Oh man, I just blanked it. What was his second question?
VFX stuff.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do stuff. Yeah, totally, 100%. In fact, if you go look on our YouTube channel, we did one on animation that we already showed some of that, where we showed animators doing some video reference of themselves and then showing the footage. And we have lots more planned. Yes, definitely. Those shot progression things are great. And then what was his third?
College. So yeah, he was asking what he should be studying. Which I mean,
it depends on, as you know, Andrew, because your son Aiden obviously is in the industry, but it depends on what you want to get into. I think everybody, when you start out wanting to make movies or be a part of storytelling, you're like, I want to, and it's kind of, I want to be a director or whatever, or I want to be a writer. And then you start to learn about the nuances of that, which could be, I really love animation, and so therefore I'm going to become a rigger, someone who defines the bones and how the thing is rigged to actually animate. It's like being a puppet, puppeteer or a puppet builder, versus I want to be an actual character animator, or I want to be someone who builds character crowds, or there's just lots of different nuance there. So the argument goes 2 ways. One is just go get a job for an innovation company and just figure out what you want to do. The second is go to a trade school where you learn specifically animation, and that can be online. There's a number of really good online resources for that. or the traditional animation schools. Here in Nashville, Tennessee, where we're based, we have Lipscomb does a really great animation program, and we've been able to hire some students out of that program. We know down in SCAD, of
Some
course.
really great students. Really
Some
great
really
students
great students.
Out of Lipscomb University animation department, like my son and my daughter-in-law, who met in the animation department, and both are working on Wingfeather. And I think that's a great point. There's so many different aspects to making a show like this. Like making movies could mean you're composing music for movies. It could mean you're doing backgrounds and character design. It could mean the computer programming side of the thing. So it just kind of depends on what it is that you want to do.
The cool thing is in animation, you have people who love technology making art, which I think is the coolest part of this, because a number of our folks on our team just serious software nerds who really code people, and they are creating art in the world, which is really cool. So it's not all just fine artists like painting and brushing and voicing and writing. There's other parts of the trade. Yeah, it's great. Okay, I think we're almost there. We got so many questions. We're not going to get to all of them today, but should we do one more, Andrew? Close this out here. Okay, here we go. Last question.
Hey, my name's Elijah, and Olivia, age 10, asks, how many seasons will there be? Kate, age 13, asks, is the storyline staying the same? Regal Bagel, 87, asks, what will it be streaming on once it's out, and how closely do they follow the storyline?
Yeah.
Nice job.
Great job.
Yeah. Elijah, way to go. So there was a run of questions here, and so we can just bang those out. How many seasons? Aiming for 7 seasons. And the way that's going to work, obviously everybody who's read the books is like, wait, the number 7, how does that work? Because there are 4 books in the series. Well, you'll note if you're looking here that the books get longer. Mr. Peterson wrote longer stories. And so book 1 is season 1 for sure. Season 2 is aimed at, I don't know, Andrew, roughly the first half, maybe a
little more than the first half.
Mm-hmm. And then season 3 is kind of the back half and tips into Monster just a little bit, and so forth. So it's breaking it out that way over 7 seasons. Kate was asking about the storyline. The storyline staying the same. I think we've mentioned that, but yes, how we break it and what events happen, adjusting the timeline, I think is probably the biggest change. Just adjusting.
But yeah, it is definitely the same story, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Will it be streaming?
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, people can find that on our YouTube channel first, likely. And then the other we're going to tell you is the Angel Studios app. So YouTube, if you're not there, that's the place that we're going to really try to encourage folks to easily find the show. And it will be free, and we're going to debut it there. We'll do live streams, kind of set them up and that sort of thing. December 2nd, of course, being the first date of that. And you should definitely subscribe to our channel and share it. We're trying to grow that audience on the YouTube channel. So if you have people that are asking questions about working to learn about Wingfeather, send them to YouTube, find our Wingfeather channel. We're going to be putting out more and more stuff on there. And so hit it, subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe. We're going to try to blow that thing up. We're going to do some fun prizes, giveaways, things like that to help grow that channel. How many episodes season 1? 6. How long are they? About a half hour. Yeah. So there you go. That was a run of questions on the end. Awesome. Well, I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody's questions today. We had far more than we expected, which is awesome. Thank you. So send them some more, and we'll do this again sometime and see if we can answer a few more. Thank you, family, for your help on some of these, and thank you to our fine staff that also contributed. Andrew, it's good to see you. Listen, folks, we're in the middle of season 1. Obviously, we're excited to bring it to you December 2nd, and then now we revealed December 16th for episode 2. We are working, there it is. We are working really hard on finishing season 1 and then simultaneously launching season 2. If you want to be a part of that, we've raised over $1 million so far towards season 2 and helping to build the series. You can go invest and have shares in our company. Like you're actually buying shares in the whole series and get to help us make this. If you want to be a part of that, please go angel.com/wingfeather. We got 2 weeks left on that. It ends August 31st. And that'll be all you'll hear from us on that. If you know friends that are interested, send them a note, tell them about it. And with that, Andrew and I have just had such a joy. It's hard to describe it, right, Andrew? The people we get to work with, the way that this is being built. So much of our team is remote. We do have a core here in Nashville, but so much of our team we interact with remotely. And we have this really cool video that you're going to start to see more of that starts to tell a bit of our story that Andrew and I have been through this last year, from May of last year to now, in getting to have this opportunity, thanks to you, the crowd, our fans, supporting us. And so we wanted to offer this video as a thank you as we end our time together today. And we will see you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.
Ah, one Jamie! Oh my goodness.
It has been a long journey, folks, and we have met so many obstacles.
With Janner's lines, I've been like saying them out loud and seeing how it felt.
I can't understand the cast.
I saw the drawing and thought, that's me.
I have 2 older brothers, and I'm the youngest girl.
You know, to be part of a project where it lines up.
I'm sure he's capable of giving me a good run for my money.
Oh.